Have you ever felt like life is a series of events, too perfectly orchestrated to be mere coincidence? Perhaps you've encountered someone who seemed to appear at just the right moment, or maybe you've faced a challenge that, in hindsight, was exactly what you needed in that moment to grow. If this resonates, you might be tapping into the fascinating concept of soul contracts. These are pre-birth agreements that shape our earthly experiences. The idea goes that before you came to Earth, you sat down with your spiritual entourage, guides, fellow souls, and maybe a cosmic lawyer, and you drafted up a contract. This contract is the blueprint for your life's lessons, relationships, and experiences. In this video, we're going to dive into the spiritual underpinnings of the concept of soul contracts. Alright, let's imagine for a moment that you're a soul, floating in the vast expanse of wherever it is that souls hang out. Maybe you're sipping on some celestial nectar, just vibing and contemplating your next big adventure. And the question arises, what will my next life be like? So, you gather your spiritual team, guides, fellow soul fam, etc., and together you draft a plan. This plan is a detailed agreement of what you will experience, the difficulty level, the dreams you'd like to fulfill, lessons you hope to learn, who you intend to meet, and what those relationships are meant to achieve, and more, much more. Honestly, stuff that's probably far beyond human comprehension, stuff I couldn't even begin to put into words here for you. But nonetheless, these soul contracts are thought to be pre-birth agreements drawn up with others that lay out the lessons and experiences that we need to go through in this lifetime. Consider this. Have you ever encountered someone who felt like so much more than just a random stranger? Maybe they taught you something about yourself important or helped you to grow in ways that you didn't expect. That's a soul contract playing out. It's all a bit mind-bending, but when you start looking at your life through this lens, everything seems to line up a little too perfectly. And I'm assuming, if you're still here, that at least some of this is making sense to you right now. Now, not all soul contracts are created equal, and each type plays a different role in our journey. First up, we have soulmate contracts, not to be confused with the concept of soulmates that Hollywood loves to romanticize. These soulmates aren't necessarily your happily ever after, but they are people who show up in your life and help you to learn something crucial. Many people assume a soulmate is like a one-off thing, a romantic partner. But there are many who do not claim this as their only soulmate experience. Soulmates can be your friends, your family, your pets, even brief acquaintances. Something a lot of people don't consider is that a soulmate could also be someone you consider to be like an enemy, or if that's a bit strong, perhaps someone you don't get along with. Some soulmates are sent to challenge us, and while that challenge is in play, there's often resistance. This doesn't mean you're expected to entertain people that you don't like. It's just about the experiences and about the lessons. The full spectrum of human experience is the bad as well as the good. Think of these soulmates as spiritual mentors who hold up a mirror, sometimes uncomfortably so forcing you to confront parts of yourself that you'd perhaps rather not face. They're here to facilitate your personal growth, and that's the most important part of the deal. You can probably see the title soulmate as like an umbrella term for all the subcategories that I'm about to lay out for you. So there's the twin flame contract. Now here we're talking about a deep connection that goes beyond any relationship you've ever had before. This one is a one-off. Your twin flame is, according to some, the other half of your soul. Essentially, they are you, having a different human experience in a different human body. So that's not quite the same as soulmate. Some refer to the red thread connection, or a divine soul reunion, maybe even Zeus's binding, which is a whole other video in itself. Make sure to subscribe for that. Whatever you prefer to call it, these connections are like soulmates on steroids. The lessons are harder, deeper, more challenging. The experiences are heightened, more intense. They feel more important, they carry more weight, and they often elicit deep, transformative experiences. If you think about the turbulence of a relationship like that, consider the relationship between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, for instance. Here, you can see the twin flame dynamic at play. Jobs brought the vision, and Wozniak brought the technical genius. Together, they created Apple. Their bond was more than just business. It was a meeting of energies that propelled them to change the world. Notice how this example wasn't necessarily one with a romantic goal either. Next up, we have karmic contracts. These are the cosmic agreements that are about resolving unfinished business from past lives. This is the one you might find with someone you don't necessarily like, or a relationship that you had to let go of to demonstrate your own worth to yourself. A relationship, perhaps, if you had continued, may have been damaging to you in some way. If you've ever found yourself repeating the same toxic patterns in relationships, or stumbling through similar challenges, you might be dealing with a karmic contract. The universe doesn't let you off the hook that easily. These contracts ensure that you clear up any lingering karma before you can evolve further. These people are like end-of-level bosses that you have to get past before you can move on up to the next level. And let's not forget about the spirit guide contracts. We all have those, whether we're conscious of it or not. Before you were born, you likely enlisted a group of spiritual guides to help you navigate your earthly experience. Their job is to support you, help you stay aligned with your soul's purpose, and step in when things get really tough. Have you ever felt a strange sense of calm or guidance when you're making a tough decision? That's probably your spirit guides at work, nudging you gently in the right direction. These are not fellow earthly souls that you'll meet and have a typical human connection with, but it is worth considering that on occasions, your spirit guide contracts may work through another person that you encounter, guiding you, supporting you, lifting you up. No matter which dimension they are in, they're always hanging around, always willing to lend a hand, but they won't usually interfere unless you ask them to. Now let's bring this back down to earth for a moment. Soul contracts aren't just something written in the stars. They show up in real life, in real, tangible, and often surprising ways. Let's go back to Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak for a moment. Their partnership wasn't just about creating a tech empire. It was a soul contract in action. Together, they changed the world, and their contract wasn't about simple collaboration. It was about pushing each other to grow and to innovate in ways that they just simply wouldn't have been able to have done alone. And then there's Oprah Winfrey and Maya Angelou, a bond so deep it transcended mere friendship. Oprah once referred to Maya as her spiritual mother. Their relationship was rooted in a soul-level connection, one that profoundly influenced Oprah's life. Maya helped Oprah navigate her own journey, teaching her about self-worth, about resilience, and the power of voice. It wasn't just a professional connection, it was an agreement that the universe made between two souls to guide each other towards their highest potential. And then there's your ex. You know the one. Yeah, sorry, we're going there. That one, that relationship that was so intense, so all-consuming, that it felt like you were both characters in some spiritual drama, that might have been a karmic contract. These kind of soul agreements are designed to teach you lessons, but the process is often painful. This kind of contract could take years or maybe even lifetimes to resolve, but once it's done, you will have learned something absolutely crucial about yourself, about love, about boundaries, about forgiveness, something else. So, how do you spot these soul agreements as they play out in your life? Honestly, some of them are just so easy to spot, even when you're not really paying all that much attention. You'll just know. You'll feel it with every fibre of your being. This person was meant to be with you, at least for this portion of your journey, and you were meant to be there for them and their journey. When you connect with someone, you generally don't just scan a room, pick a human, and decide we're going to be great friends. It's about vibes, it's about frequency. This is why so many people feel invisible, like NPCs. This is why in a crowd of people, the vast majority will just fly under your radar. But there'll be one or two that might as well be glowing. They will stick out to you. People who you just cannot fail but to notice. It's not that the people you don't notice are not special or important, it's just that they're part of someone else's story. The ones who shine for you, you'll find them. But if it's something specific you're looking for to give you a clue or confirmation in some way, one sign is synchronicity. These moments when everything just clicks. You meet someone at the exact right time or have a serendipitous chance encounter that leads to something life-changing. That's no coincidence, and on some level, you understand this. The universe has a way of guiding you along a path your soul agreed upon before you even got there. Then there's reoccurring themes. These reoccurring themes in your life can be a sign of a soul contract at work. If you find yourself facing the same challenges or attracting similar types of people time and time again, it might feel frustrating, even exhausting, but rather than a punishment, this is the universe lovingly nudging you towards growth. These patterns exist because your soul is seeking to learn something important, and until the lesson is integrated, it will continue to surface. It's okay to feel frustrated, but remember, this isn't about blame, it's about evolution. You're not required to master all of this in one lifetime, but your soul is gently guiding you towards understanding and freedom. And finally, we have intuitive nudges. These can also help you to recognize your soul contracts. Sometimes it's just a gut feeling, an inner knowing that you're meant to be here somewhere, or you're meant to be connecting with a particular person, or you're meant to be taking a particular path, for example. These subtle yet powerful signs are your higher self speaking to you, your soul having a chat with you, gently guiding you towards fulfilling your pre-agreed purpose. You might experience this as a deep sense of recognition when you meet someone, an unshakable pull towards a certain place, or even a stronger inner resistance steering you away from something that isn't aligned with your path. Tapping into your intuition is a learned skill, one that strengthens with practice. Meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection can help you quiet the noise of everyday life so you can better hear those inner whispers. The more you trust and follow your intuition, the clearer these messages become, helping you navigate your soul contracts with greater awareness and ease. So here's the thing, not all soul contracts are written in stone. It's very rare that an agreement can never be subject to renegotiation. And you're actually free to do this at any time, especially as you evolve spiritually. No one is locked into a set path with no way out. While some contracts, especially those challenging karmic ones, may feel like they're set in concrete, especially when you're stuck in a toxic relationship or facing repetitive life patterns, the truth is, you have the power to change them. Take, for instance, Eckhart Tolle, the famous spiritual teacher. Before he became the sought-after author of The Power of Now, Tolle went through a profoundly personal and dramatic spiritual awakening, which involved a period of deep depression and inner turmoil. The whole process could be seen as a renegotiation of his soul contract. He went from living in a state of intense suffering to discovering the profound peace that comes with presence. It wasn't an easy process, but it shows that our soul contracts can shift when we align with our higher purpose. And it's not just a little bit either, but in life-changing ways, potentially. And this all sounds amazing, but there are some caveats. You can't magically erase your karmic debts, or simply walk away from a soul contract. But that doesn't mean you're powerless either. You don't have to be at the mercy of these contracts. You can actively shift the dynamics if you find yourself caught in a toxic karmic loop, like continuously attracting manipulative or narcissistic or controlling toxic people. The first step is recognizing that this pattern exists for a reason. Awareness is key, but true change comes when you take responsibility and actively work towards transformation. Here's some tangible ways to do that. Work with your guides through meditation, journaling, or even divination practices. You can connect with your higher self and spirit guides for insight. Shadow work. Dive into the unconscious patterns, wounds, and beliefs that may be keeping you stuck. This could involve journaling prompts, guided meditations, or therapy. Therapy and inner healing. Whether it's traditional therapy, energy healing, or hypnotherapy, professional guidance can help you uncover and heal deep-rooted karmic wounds. Mindfulness and self-reflection. Pay attention to your triggers and reactions. Patterns repeat because we subconsciously allow them to. Being mindful of your choices helps break the cycle. The art of gratitude. Shifting your perspective from frustration to gratitude can help rewire your energy. Instead of seeing a painful relationship as a burden, view it as a lesson that's helping you grow. Energetic cleansing. Practices like cord cutting, Reiki, or sound healing can help clear lingering karmic energy and create space for new dynamics. Boundary setting. Sometimes the lesson is learning to say no. If a soul contract is causing harm, stepping away may be the most powerful move you can make. Think of it like getting a tough review at work. You can either stay in a cycle of frustration, repeating the same mistakes, or take that feedback, make adjustments, and grow. Your soul's evolution is not about suffering. It's about learning, evolving, and stepping into your power. Now, let's take a moment to lean into the darker side of things. What happens when we forget, actively avoid, or just outright ignore our soul contracts? I'm sure you've seen many people doing it. It's like signing up for a class and then never showing up. The universe isn't going to just sit there and let you skip class indefinitely. When you resist or refuse to acknowledge the agreements that you've made, things tend to get messy. Have you ever felt like life is throwing you one curveball after another, and no matter what you do, you just can't seem to catch a break? Well, that could be the universe's way of saying, hey, remember that contract? It's time to fulfill it. And the more you ignore it, generally, the louder it's going to get. A good example of this is Lindsay Lohan. The ups and downs of her career and personal life have been pretty extreme, pretty challenging, pretty traumatic, from being a child star to navigating public breakdowns. Lindsay's journey could well have been a soul contract in action. She's here to show us and herself the dangers of fame, the pitfalls of addiction, and maybe something deeper, like the importance of self-love and personal growth. It's hard to say for certain, but looking at her journey through the lens of a soul contract opens up some interesting perspectives. Perhaps her life is one of deep karmic lessons, both for herself and for the collective. And then there's Princess Diana. Her life and tragic death raises profound questions about soul contracts. She was thrust into a life of royalty, only to face an impossible public life filled with immense pressure, intolerable heartbreak, and constant scrutiny. What was Diana's soul contract? Some argue that it was to teach the world lessons about vulnerability, about kindness and compassion. Her death, while devastating, was also a moment of deep transformation for many, pushing people to think about fame, privacy, and human suffering in ways that they maybe had never before. These examples, as sad as they may be, show that when you fail to acknowledge the terms of your soul contract, the universe will pull you back into alignment one way or another. The lesson? Well, you might want to start paying attention to the signs. At the end of the day, soul contracts aren't about fate trapping you in some preordained prison. It's more like the ultimate self-help plan, created before you even showed up on this planet. They're designed to help you grow, evolve, and reach your fullest potential. And while you might occasionally feel like you're being hit with the karmic equivalent of an articulated lorry, trust that there is always a reason, always a lesson waiting to be uncovered. So next time you encounter a particularly difficult person or situation, ask yourself, what did I sign up for here? Could this be part of my soul contract? Sit with these questions. Be patient. Be kind to yourself. The conclusions you arrive at may surprise you. And remember, renegotiating your contract is always an option. The universe may be a vast, mysterious place, but you're not a puppet dangling on its strings. You've got the power to make conscious decisions, to heal, to grow, and to shift any energy that you're working with. So, if life feels like a little epic drama with some serious plot twists and character arcs, it might just be because, well, you signed up for this. It's all part of your soul's grand design. Embrace it, learn from it, and if nothing else, enjoy the ride. And next time you encounter someone who challenges you in ways that feel like destiny, thank them. But just, maybe not to their face if they're one of the ops. I mean, energetically say thanks.